K-pop demon hunters Saja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Spring Black Friday is on at the Home Depot. Save on grills and patio sets that will be sure to bring your hosting game up a notch. Fire up your feast with help from the Home Depot and save on grills. Like the Next Grill 4-burner propane gas grill was $249, now on special buy for $199. Or give everyone the best seat in the yard with the Hampton Bay Mayfield Park 4-piece conversation set for only $399. Save on grills and patio sets with low prices guaranteed during Spring Black Friday only at the Home Depot. Now through April 22nd, while supplies last. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Hello, and welcome to Vulgar History, a feminist women's history comedy podcast. My name is Anne Foster, and if you're watching this on video on Patreon, this is my cat Hepburn. She is sitting directly in front of me. And this is our Regency era season. We're talking about stuff that happened mostly in England in the late 1700s, early 1800s. This is also known as the Napoleonic era, when we're going to get into some of that this week in our discussion of Emma Hamilton, Part 2. I would recommend listening to Part 1 if you haven't already heard it.
It is
a lot happening.
Yeah, sort of foundational.
Yeah. If you didn't hear Part 1, you'd just be like, oh, here's this fancy lady who's the wife of an ambassador. I assume there's nothing interesting in her life before this point. Listen to Part 1. She had quite a journey getting to this point. I'm joined by Amanda Matta, royal commentator, art history expert. You love drama. You love
I love drama. I love historical drama, modern drama. If someone's wearing a crown and being messy, like I will be there. You can find me in the background of the picture.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a story with so much drama because we're getting into Emma Hamilton Part 2. So again, I mean, here's what you missed on Vulgar History. Like Emma Hamilton was born to a blacksmith who was maybe murdered by his wife. She was a maid. She hated it with her friend Jane, who's going to come back in this episode. She did some sex work. She was a goddess at the Temple of Health and Hymen. She was sex trafficked a few times. She had a daughter that she was forced to abandon. And now she's in Naples, married to this diplomat. She is Lady Hamilton. And Amanda, can you explain what's happening in Naples? Politically?
No, but I can try. Okay. So yes, she's in Naples. She's gotten the My Fair Lady treatment. She's like a society hostess. She's also friends with Maria Carolina, who is the Queen of Naples, also the sister to Marie Antoinette. So the political drama that's about to unfold kind of directly relates to that because Maria Carolina is so understandably angry and upset when her sister is beheaded in the French Revolution. The Queen, like Maria Carolina, goes very anti-French. Like it's very US freedom fries, if you were around for that era in our history when we like just boycotted all things French. So does Maria Carolina. She is very paranoid of like French agents who have declared war, like France has declared war on Austria. And then Britain declares war on France. So Maria Carolina is like trying to figure out, because she's actually the one pulling the strings, I should also say, in Naples. Her husband, King Ferdinand, famously,
just fuckboy.
Yeah. So even Napoleon at one point says of Maria Carolina that she is the only man in Naples. And like, these are enemies. France and Naples, enemies. So Naples joins what's called the First Coalition against France. Anyone remotely suspected of like French sympathy is persecuted. Maria Carolina is very paranoid about French agents in Naples. She's like switching around the family's apartments in the palace in Naples, like on a daily basis. So Emma is her bestie, as we discussed in the first part. So she's presumably there, at least like aware of all of this thought process, maybe influencing the decisions that the Queen is making, who again is the one who really has power here. So Maria Carolina, she wants to escalate and go to war with France, which leads to what I called in the first part a reverse revolution. So she gets her husband to go to war with France in 1798. So Naples is at war with France. They make a failed attempt to march to Rome, and the king finds out the only people in his country, Naples, who are willing to support the French restoring the monarchy, which is their goal, are the peasants. For some reason, the educated middle class and the aristocrats in Naples are more fond of the idea of France being a republic. And the king and queen of Naples are no, we did this because we like aristocrats and we like monarchy. So the king and queen of Naples find themselves being revolted against by not the peasants, not the working class, but by the upper classes, which is the worst case scenario and very confusing for historians reading into it. But so there's a very short civil war. Literally, it's 6 months where the Jacobin and Republican coalitions in Naples are running rampant. Maria Carolina goes into hiding with the royal family. Presumably, again, Emma Hamilton is there with them. But this takes us a little bit farther into her future. We need to back up a bit to talk about what Emma is up to before this mini revolution. But that's what's going on in the background for her.
And so this is suddenly just Emma's entire life was in the wake of various wars. Basically, you've got the Civil War, then you've got sort of the French Revolution era wars. It's going to lead into the Napoleonic Wars. This is just the backdrop of her entire life.
She's another revolution, fine.
Yeah. So we're getting into, I don't know, what year are you up to?
So that would take us up to about 1799, which is the year after she reconnects with the guy we dropped at the end of last episode, Horatio Nelson.
So Horatio Nelson comes to Naples. Now, I just want to mention it's been a week for all of you, but for us, we just took a little break between part 1 and part 2. And I was let's just brush up on my Horatio Nelson knowledge. And so I looked at the Wikipedia page, which as of when I read it, didn't even have a section for personal life. It's all just war, battle, battle, battle. It's he's got such a brilliant mind. Listeners, we're not going to talk about any of that.
He actually wasn't always recognized as a military genius. He wasn't a general. He was an admiral towards the end, but he sometimes had to disregard direct orders from his senior officers. And that was part of why he was such a romantic, kind of Lord Byron-esque hero.
He had some military victories that made him very famous. So he and Emma met each other when he was coming. It was someone else was supposed to be in charge of these ships going to Naples, but then they're no, let's just send this guy instead. He was not yet a hero. And so she met him and she was could England side with Naples in our various wars? We need your help. She's doing her soft diplomacy, throwing herself at him, but she's also this guy's kind of like this guy. And the thing with Nelson too, is he becomes very successful in a military way, but he's from humble origins too. So I feel Emma is meetings. She's had so much of her life has been around these upper class people where she knows how to hang out with them. But this is someone she could probably talk to in a more genuine way, because he's from humble roots like her.
Yeah, I know Nelson, he had to scrape to get where he eventually found himself for a long time. And especially in his marriage, he was married. He and his wife, they were very frustrated. He wasn't making money. He wasn't getting any command positions for a long time in his military career. So eventually he, kind of similar to what Napoleon's doing, but he's British, Nelson. He goes to the Mediterranean. He helps to capture Corsica. He's in Tenerife, where he loses his right arm in 1797.
And also he gets shrapnel in his eye. So one of his eyes is non-functioning. And when anyone, I presume the shrapnel stays in his eye, because when he's stressed or it would inflame and cause him a lot of pain.
And he would use that. I did look he has a little brief BBC biography that is kind of useful for getting broad strokes.
Yeah.
Apparently he once ignored orders to withdraw from action by putting his telescope to his blind eye and claiming he didn't actually see the signal. So oops, we kept fighting. But because he was such a great military commander, he could get away with it.
So he's short missing an eye, missing an arm.
Teeth? I don't think he has a lot of teeth either.
Pretty sure he doesn't. So he's not who you think of as a heartthrob, but because of his military success, he becomes a heartthrob. People have like Nelson posters, Nelson, like printed on their mugs and their plates.
Right next to their Emma posters,
they have their Emma poster and then they have their Nelson poster. So when Nelson meets Emma, everyone's like, these two are finally together. It's
Tom Holland and Zendaya, except Tom Holland is probably way more attractive.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, because Emma is also tall. So they meet each other and like all of society is like shipping this even before the two of them become lovers, because it's just like, this is the man of the hour. This is the woman of the hour. They've met each other. And in fact, they do really like each other. And part of it is he shows up and he is ill from something, I don't know, dysentery or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she like personally nurses him back to health.
Of course she does.
So the thing with Nelson, there's a lot of things with Nelson, but one of them is that he falls in love very easily. He is a really romantic guy. He has this wife, Fanny, but they don't, almost right away, they don't get along with each other. He married her. She was like a heiress from the Caribbean. Listen back to my episode about the heiresses from the Caribbean to learn more about that part of this history. He thought, and she sort of portrayed herself as being wealthy to kind of convince him to marry her, and then he married her and it turns out she's not wealthy. But they're married now. And she has like a son. He's like a teenage son at this point who's sort of like on the ships with Nelson. His name is Josiah, and he's just not into it. Much like Emma was not into being a maid, Josiah is not into being a sailor guy. This is fun. They do not have any further children. I think probably something like, I think it was a traumatic birth with Josiah. So Fanny is not able to have more children. Nelson really wants children. It's like he wants to be a wife guy. He wants to be a girl dad, but he's not getting that from his wife. And he's had like lots of men in this time, lots of affairs with lots of people. He meets Emma and he's just like, ugh. Like if you're a guy who falls easily and you're meeting like the most beautiful woman in the world and she's nursing you back to health, like of course he falls for her. Like,
and to the point where he writes back to Fanny, his wife, like talking about Emma and like how remarkable she is, how talented she is. So like rub it in. Like I would prefer you just abandon your wife and let her get on with her life, but that's not what he does. And we will see that like gets messy.
It gets really messy. And like, honestly, justice for Fanny Nelson.
Justice for Fanny. Yeah.
Because he tries at one point to divorce her, but the only way, and I talk about this in my book, Rebel of the Regency, the scandalous saga of Caroline Brunswick, Britain's Queen Without a Crown, because her husband tries to divorce her. And the only way that you can get a divorce, it's really complicated in this era to get a divorce. And it only happens if you can prove that the wife has been unfaithful, if the marriage was not consummated, like that's kind of it. And Fanny is like, the marriage is consummated. I've not been unfaithful. Like, come at me. Like, you can't divorce me. Like, whatever. So Fanny is like holding her own, and I respect it. And Emma also has from her, like, if we're talking about like, what is it? Like the mother wound, like Nelson and Emma are both like, they become extremely codependent on each other. And I think both of them have this like bottomless need for love that is never going to be fulfilled because of their own psychological problems. So they just like trauma bond. Like they're just like, this is happening. Like, but also Emma has all these skills that are useful for him. Like Nelson does not speak any language other than English. Emma speaks every language. She's really politically agile and knowledgeable in a way that he's not. So she kind of becomes his like helper, his translator.
Yeah. His secretary, like right-hand woman, kind of. If you're thinking of like Hamilton being George Washington's right-hand man, it's like kind of the same, except they're also fucking.
So she becomes like very instrumental in his success and in his career, to kind of helping him extend his career. She's also still married to Sir William, who at this point is like in his 60s, I think, and his health not great.
Yeah, he would be in his late 60s. And if we're talking about 1798, 99, Emma is finally in her 30s. So she's finally like a full adult, which is great for her.
She's got a frontal lobe, like things are happening. And she's just like, I'm into this guy, Lord Nelson. And this is where I just want to mention, I was like, wow, like this story, it's such a saga. I'm like, there must be 100 movies about it. And there hasn't been any recently. And that is surprising to me because the British love to do stories about the British being great. But you know who she's a bit, Emma Hamilton, she's a bit Haley Steinfeld. I just thought she's very like
I could
tall, dark hair, really pretty. And she can, but also really smart. And like, I could picture Haley Steinfeld doing the attitudes, you know?
You know what else I was thinking? You know, did you see the new Wuthering Heights movie adaptation?
No, but I'm very aware of it.
Okay. So if you like, some of the reviews talk about the actress who plays Nellie, who is like a servant. She ends up stealing like all of the scenes she's in. And I was just thinking, how much more interesting would it be if Emerald Fennell wanted to tell this version of Wuthering Heights, do it through like Nellie's perspective? I would love to see this story through the perspective of Emma's mom. So like start with her maybe murdering her husband. Yeah. And like that's crazy on its own. But then your daughter grows up to become this political go-between, societal muse, it girl, like all of these things. And you're just a lady who like was married to a blacksmith and maybe killed him. I don't know.
And this is your child. No, it's really interesting. It's like he's like with so many celebrities, you know, like if you remove all the Nepo babies from the discourse, it's just like someone who becomes famous, like Glenn Powell. It's like, and his mom is just like, I'm just a mom.
And like a Donna Kelsey now gets to hang out with Taylor Swift and like is on The Traitors. I don't know.
No, exactly. Yeah. Emma's mom is like the Donna Kelsey of the situation. She's just like, okay, I'm here. Like, cause she's right there with her all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
So these two like have an affair, and Sir William is kind of like, okay, I guess. Like he's fine with it. He's just like, that makes sense. You know, if that makes you happy, Emma, cool. That's fine. And then the revolutionary uprising happens, and the royal family has to flee to Sicily. And this is, I don't know how much information you have about Emma's involvement, a little bit, but she's so it's kind of like what you were outlining. You know, tensions are high. The royal family is going to need to flee, and it would have been suspicious if Nelson or if Sir William were seen coming or going from the palace. But Emma, it's like, well, she's just a woman, so she's the queen's bestie. Yeah, so and the queen is kind of who's in charge of all this anyway. So Emma becomes kind of crucial, like coming and going and planning this escape, like not planning it, but like making sure that it happens, like passing along the messages and arranging like this ship has to be here. And like, it's a real Flight to Varennes party bus situation.
Yes.
Because Maria Carolina is like, we need to flee, but I need to take all of my jewels. I need to take all of my furniture. Like, can we move more of my jewels?
My whole royal household.
Chest of coins. It's just like the amount of ships they need. It's like, ma'am, flee. And she's just like, but also I need these jewels, and also my crowns, and also I can't be without this. It's just like, so Emma is just like helping
out. Well, and like I mentioned, it's a weird revolution. It's also short-lived. So maybe the sense of urgency that she didn't have was like a symptom of this. They rename Naples, the rebels do, the Parthenopean Republic. It's named that for a former like ancient Greek city. And remember, these revolutionaries are upper middle class to aristocrats. But like the new republic exists only because the French military is also in the area. So that's why the British diplomat and Sir Nelson or Lord Nelson cannot be seen to like be helping out the royal family in this case, because the Britain and France already not getting along. They don't want to be fighting also in Naples. So like the English fleet was still supplying the royal family with weapons, but we had to keep it like on the DL. And like Nelson is the compromise almost. Like he is there because that's kind of where he landed after his military victories. And it's just kind of him. There's some plausible deniability there. So the more interesting thing though to the British public is, well, Emma and Lord Nelson are hooking up, right? Like that's all they kind of want to talk about. Mm-hmm. So when they hear about this military conflict, of course, it immediately becomes, well, obviously Emma Hamilton persuaded Lord Nelson to intervene and like get Britain involved in this military conflict. So she's kind of painted as like pulling the strings here, I guess in a similar way to her bestie, Queen Maria Carolina.
Well, and Queen Maria Carolina too, just for the record, throughout everything we've talked about throughout her whole life, she is never not pregnant. She's popping out babies. She's having babies. Like they're fleeing and she like has just had a baby. Like,
doesn't one of her kids die on the ship as they're fleeing? So they move the royal household, the royal court to Palermo in Sicily. And I think I don't remember which one, but one of Maria Carolina's children like dies in Emma's arms.
Yeah. So what happens is I forget the name of the son as well. There's a lot of sons. But so this was a son who Maria Carolina had around, the baby was born around the same time Marie Antoinette, news of her execution came out. And Maria Carolina was so overwhelmed by that. Like she couldn't care for this child. So Emma almost like fostered the child. So like Emma was like there with the baby. So this was like Emma's special sort of, I don't know if it was technically her godchild, but this was like, now, years have passed. So it's like a young child, but he's got, lung issues. And then the child dies while they're on the escape in Emma's arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a lot for her. It's a lot for everybody. There's, they're escaping and I'm like, it's like, why are you bringing so much stuff with you? But it's like a legit traumatizing experience for everybody to be.
Yes.
And like, I think also for Maria Carolina, it's like her sister, like, kudos to her because she saw like what happened with Marie Antoinette and her husband where the rebels were coming and they refused to leave and then they were taken to jail and killed. And Maria Carolina is just like, fuck that. I'm fleeing. Like no one's going to get this thing. Like she kept switching room to room. She's like, they're never going to find me. I'll be in a different room. Like she's understandably preparing for the worst because she's seen this happen to her sister. So she's going through it. Everyone's going through it. And Emma is there for her and she's instrumental in this escape. And what I want to mention is that Sir William also there. Sir William is sending letters back to England explaining what happened, but he never mentions how involved Emma was or what she did, which is kind of cool for later on when Emma is like, hey, can I get some pension or money for my like services to the crown? And they're like, we don't know about any
services to the crown.
Because it seemed like he did everything.
Sure. And we were rooting for you, Sir William. But she does get some recognition from Emperor Paul I of Russia. Did you see this? So while the royal family in Naples, has been evacuated to Sicily, I guess they're dealing with their own stuff. So Emma is kind of the one, again, left to deal with other matters that come up during this reverse revolution. So the island of Malta is like being left to starve. I think there's a military blockade. They're being targeted by the French as well. And Nelson tries and fails to persuade the king to allow the British to like break the blockade, send in supplies. But Emma was able to like get supplies to the island of Malta. And she even convinced Maria Carolina to donate 10,000 pounds. So she's eventually awarded the Cross of St. John, or the Maltese Cross, by Emperor Paul of Russia. And she notes that I'm the first English woman to ever get it. And it made her a Dame of the Order of Malta in her own right. So this is like the first time she's gotten an honor based on her own merit. And she gets her own coat of arms. It's very cool.
Lady Hamilton because she married a lord, but now she herself is Dame. She used Dame when she was just like behaving at her very grandest. So like she went from like December teenage sex worker living on the street to like a dame. Like,
It's very cool. She gets her own coat of arms. It was noted, I think it was on Wikipedia, it was noted that the coat of arms puzzled heraldic scholars for a long time who didn't know about her Maltese cross because it has the Maltese cross on it. And they're like, why is this on Emma Hamilton's coat of arms? Like the lions we get, there's 3 red lions. And that's like, that we get because her surname was Lyons when she was born. But they didn't know for a long time that she had the Order of Malta, which confuses me, but we know
it's
now.
Interesting. Okay, well, and I'm confused they didn't know that because she wore it every day. It was just when I was looking up information about her, there was from a few years ago at Sotheby's auction. It was one of her necklaces, and like, part of it has a fastening where the Order of Malta would have hung. Like she just attached it to her necklaces. She wore it constantly. I don't know, for listeners who heard the episode we did about Sarah Biffin, the disabled painter. She won a medal for excellence in painting, and she wore it every day of her life. She's just like, that's me. I won this medal. Like I'm just wearing it every day. Like,
and I support that.
And so this becomes a thing when eventually they're going to be back in England, and everybody like Emma Hamilton shows up, and everyone wants to dress. This is like so many of these things in this era. It's like we want to dress a la Hamilton. So people are wearing dresses that look like her dresses. They're doing their hair like her. She shows up on this cross. People start wearing crosses. Like people start wearing like fake Order of Malta crosses because she is, including Caroline of Brunswick, the Princess of Wales.
Of course she did.
she's never one to pass up a fashion moment. So I just love that Emma Hamilton. Yeah.
If she lived in 2008, she would never have passed a Charming Charlie's or a Claire's without going in. Like, I love this for her.
Yeah, I love that. That's what's funny to me. I'm just like, they didn't know that she had this cross. She's painted wearing it. She like everyone like caricatures it. Like she everyday
caricatures. Good for her.
Like, this is me and I won this and I'm a dame and just like don't even forget it. Like I love it.
Nope. The heraldic scholars were puzzled by the Maltese cross. I guess after a while it kind of fell off.
It reminds me, well, I don't even know what would be the similar thing, but it's like if Michael B. Jordan put his Academy Award on a chain and just wore it every day to be like, I'm Academy Award winning actor, Michael B. Jordan. Like, just like,
who is it? Is it Kate Winslet that has hers in the bathroom so that her guests can like hold it?
Yeah.
No, so her guests can hold it in the mirror while they're in there.
That's a really good idea. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she just in terms of cross. So when they get back to England, which spoiler, they will in a second. So cheap gilt versions of the cross were sold throughout England. The very wealthiest ladies had their own made of diamonds. Caroline, Princess of Wales, wore a white dress with a Maltese cross brooch. Prinny gave a diamond Maltese cross to his youngest sister, Amelia. So Fanny Nelson. So just imagine, this is like when Ariana Grande got together with that guy SpongeBob, and he had and he left his wife for Ariana Grande, and then like the relentless wicked press. I was just like, this woman's husband left her.
You got to see it everywhere.
And you're going into like Starbucks, you're going to everywhere, and it's just like wicked Ariana Grande, and it's like your husband left you for her, and she's everywhere. So it's like Fanny's going through that because everyone is dressing like Emma Hamilton, the woman your husband left you for, and like everyone is, and everyone's got posters of Emma Hamilton. People start because Nelson is this hero and Emma is this like icon. So like now there's posters of like their faces together. You can get like, you know, a plate with their faces together. Like everyone is just like the two of them together is everywhere. And like, again, justice for Fanny. Like, my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and you know, she would have had some moments of vindication because when this revolution wraps up, again, I cannot stress enough, it took 6 months. This new republic was established in January 1799. On June 30th, the last stronghold for the Jacobins in Naples fell and surrendered. That July, King Ferdinand re-entered Naples and had Nelson actually oversee the execution of 120 political prisoners, which was seen as like really ruthless. Back in London, there were again rumors that Emma was the one encouraging this, or at least like acting out the Queen's like vengeance. Because remember, Maria Carolina got into this because she's angry and sad that her sister, Marie Antoinette, has been beheaded by the French. So you have 120 executed, over 500 more are imprisoned, 288 deported, and 67 people are exiled. I don't know what deported versus exiled meant at this time, but those are the stats. So there's some
Emma, like as though Emma is this kind of like Lady Macbeth,
like whispering in the ear of Nelson, like telling him exactly
does what Nelson does. Like this is what I've learned about him from this biography. Like no one tells Nelson what to do. Like he's gonna do what he's gonna do. I have a quote actually you mentioned about Maria Carolina. Like this is all her vengeance. So after Marie Antoinette, her sister, was executed, so she was like beyond. Like she was so upset about it. She had a portrait of Marie Antoinette in her study, and she wrote on it, "I shall pursue revenge until the grave."
Oh my God.
Like Batman.
In like lipstick or something, probably.
Yes. Like she's like, and she did.
Well, that sucks because Maria Carolina's grandchild, Marie Louise of Austria, later marries Napoleon. So yikes. Yeah. Yikes. We'll have to revisit.
I do think, and you suggested this, and I think at some point I'm going to do a Maria Carolina episode because she's truly the heir to Maria Theresa. Like this is the daughter.
Yes, absolutely.
Maria Theresa 2.0. So they do,
but for now,
they escape with all their stuff. Although actually, no, the royal family escapes with all their stuff. Sir William and Emma do not bring their stuff with them, which becomes an issue later on. Because, so I haven't mentioned this before, but Sir William, not good with money. Sir William has been like, he's this diplomat, and so you have to spend a certain, like Georgina did, like you have to spend a certain amount
Keep
of
up appearances
at a certain level. And then Emma also has to have like enough, she's the bestie of the queen. She has to have all these dresses. So they're spending a lot of money, and Sir William just assumes he's going to be repaid by the English government for his services to the crown. So he's spending, assuming he's going to get money.
That also kind of makes sense as to why he was like not only tolerant, but encouraging of Emma and Nelson having an affair, because like, here's another guy that can start paying for her dresses. I don't know.
That's literally what happens when they become lovers. Nelson starts covering Emma's costs, which is how, Sir William knew about it and was good with it. But you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's saves them a bit of money.
Makes sense.
So this is just less stuff for them to be able to sell if they are in debt later, which I'm foreshadowing heavily. So they escape, and then Nelson was recalled to London. So Sir William had been asking for a while, like, can I retire? He's like in his 70s. He's like, can I retire from being...
Can I be done now?
This is like getting to be a bit much, fleeing this reverse revolution and stuff. So the trio, the gang, Sir William, Emma, and Nelson all...
Well, it's a trio, but also a foursome, because Emma's pregnant.
True. Yes.
So she is...
She is pregnant by Nelson. And Nelson always wanted children. He married Fanny, and he thought that they would have children, but then she wasn't able to have children. That led to some stress in their relationship. Emma, I think, always wanted more children too, but Sir William was not able to provide that for her. So she's pregnant with Nelson's baby, and they return to England, and it's like, oh my God, Emma. And she's wearing these maternity dresses, and everyone's like, then everyone starts, it's like a real Regina George moment. Everyone starts wearing dresses with the waist, the bust line, practically at your shoulders. It's because those are maternity dresses. They're like, we have to dress a la Emma. And they're all wearing maternity dresses.
That's so funny. And
fake Maltese crosses. So they come back, and she does her attitudes in England. But she's, because, to recap, this is where she's sort of acting out in sort of a fancy charades, different famous scenes from history. And she's doing scenes of pregnant women, because just to show I am pregnant. So she's being Cleopatra. So Nelson, one of his big victories was in the Battle of the Nile, in Egypt. So people are really all about that. There was a big crocodile hat craze. Everybody's just the Nile, he's a hero, crocodiles, we love him. So she's really leaning into this Cleopatra, the Nile. And, Cleopatra famously, she was with Julius Caesar, then she was with Mark Antony. So it's kind of he was a war hero and she was the woman. So it's...
Yes, there are parallels here.
So she's doing her attitudes. She's showing off her pregnant belly. Everybody, she's more famous than ever, actually.
All of this, though, still doesn't get her admitted to the royal court. Queen Charlotte, once again, she gets a letter even from Queen Maria Carolina writing a letter of recommendation basically for Emma, saying highlighting all her achievements, saying she's my best friend, please let her into court. And this still comes to nothing, because Queen Charlotte is just a sleeper heinous bitch, but kind of tops them all.
Yeah, I know. I can't emphasize enough how much the real life Queen Charlotte was not like Queen Charlotte on Bridgerton.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Emma is hanging out with all Prinny and the other sort of party princess. She's friends with everybody. She's the toast of society, basically, which is really interesting. Is this pregnant with her lover's child? Everyone knows it's Nelson's child, but she's married to Sir William, so technically it's going to be Sir William's child, because that's her
right. One person who's like not into it is Fanny. Should we talk about, do you know about the living arrangements that we get into here?
I do know a bit. I know that eventually for like, so Emma and Sir William were living in one house and Nelson was living in another house. And then Emma was going back and forth so much, it cost so much in like transit that they're like, why don't we just all live in one house together?
Yeah.
I'll move into a house.
Well, so like when they first come back to England, they were planning to all go to Nelson's house to live, like Sir William, Emma, and Nelson. but there's some quote unquote miscommunication that means they don't go to Nelson's house where Fanny is. They all have to get rooms at a hotel in London next to each other. So then Fanny comes to London, she meets them there, and that's when she finds out Emma's pregnant, and she's like, obviously deeply, deeply unhappy with this. This is when the affair like becomes common knowledge. Like before it had been gossip, but it happened in Naples. And then in London, it like really takes off. The townhouses, like you said, they're basically within walking distance, but because Emma is pregnant and an it girl, yes, transportation between the two. But Fanny kind of tries to start a feud in the press with Emma, but Emma is still like, everyone loves her still. Like, even though there was that kind of whispered rumor that she was the one inciting violence in Naples, most of the public still like looks upon her very, very fondly.
Well, and this is where also Nelson is trying to separate from Fanny. But Fanny's just like, no, I do not accept.
Nope.
I am your wife and I will not leave you. And this is...
She had like no allies in this situation because, like we've also said, Sir William was cool with the affair, even though at this point, like he starts being made fun of in the press and in cartoons, but like he still is obsessed with Emma and like she is still attached to him. Like she's fond of him. So whatever relationship they have, like still going strong, even though they are kind of in this love triangle at this point.
And Fanny also, like, because her family... Like she just doesn't have any allies, partially because she's from the Caribbean. Like she doesn't have family in town. Like she has no one. And Emma like is all friends in high places. Like it's an interesting thing because you look at the movies like it's called That Hamilton Woman with Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier, and like this is the famous love story is Nelson and Emma. But you kind of have to shove Fanny aside because it's hard to celebrate a love story when it's like there's this wife who's also like, excuse me.
Hello.
So you kind of have to villainize her a little bit.
Which Vivien Leigh, it's weird that she did that twice in Gone with the Wind and That Hamilton Woman.
So Emma, I forget if I said this before, but I'll say it again. Just like casting Laurence Olivier, Laurence Olivier, as Nelson, this like short, one-eyed, one-armed, like little guy. Like even when they were sort of touring around London, people were like, "Oh my god, it's Nelson!" And they saw him, they're like, "That's Nelson!" Like because that's like the hunk in all of our like drawings. Like
to package it for Hollywood, it's got to be a Laurence Olivier, who I think you compared to Jacob Elordi offline.
It's just kind of like who's like the tallest, hottest man. So, well, and this is in an era where, like, trigger warning, Lord Byron is like, he's the most handsome, hot guy, and he is good looking. And so that's kind of like that's the ideal. So people
for a romantic hero. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Nelson, who is like doing these like brave things that Lord Byron could only dream of, it's like, so they assume, well, he must also be handsome. And it's like, oh, he's not. He's just little guy.
Yeah. Lord Byron had the style and like desperately wanted the substance. And then Nelson over here has the substance, but one eye, one arm.
Yeah.
No teeth.
And Emma is obsessed with him. So
as she should be, you know?
Yeah.
You do you, girl.
They're in England, and Emma, like, she's quite pregnant when they travel, and they go to England. And has a daughter, who the daughter is named Horatia after.
Of course,
because his name is Horatio. So she's making it really clear, like, this child is the child of Nelson. Like,
you got to do it. Also, she gives birth on January 29th. She appears at a concert in public on February 1st. My God. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Like, you're allowed to take time off.
That's a real,
it's okay.
Kate Middleton giving birth and like getting her hair blown out.
On the steps 7 hours later. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something about Kate Williams explained this in her biography. It was something like Emma had to show that she was pregnant, and then she had to show up being not pregnant after for some reason. Like, it's just to prove to everybody, like, I had a baby.
Okay. Interesting.
She like needed to show that this had really happened. I'm not sure, but she made a spectacular appearance.
Yes. At this time, Nelson's not in London, we should say. He was sent back to sea for some military reason. He and Emma write letters back and forth the whole time. They even talk about her pregnancy and like how excited they are. She still keeps her existing daughter a secret from him.
Nelson doesn't know about that.
Yes.
Lil Emma. Because I think there's something, even when she gives birth, and this is like later on in the story when people are blackmailing her for various reasons. There's people like the doctor who was there when she gave birth, like it was apparent this is not the first time this woman has given birth. And so she pays them off to not tell Nelson, because like Nelson can't know about this teenage child she had, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she has to keep it hidden away.
So she gives birth while Nelson's at sea, and he writes letters explaining the child was an orphan left to his care and protection while they were still back in Naples. So that when Horatia gets baptized, her date of birth is like post-dated back to October 1800. So this infant baby is being paraded around as a 18-month-old child. Because we need to keep up the appearance that she was born in Naples, and like Emma and Nelson, out of the goodness of their hearts, like adopted her. Yeah. Like she was supposedly their godchild. What
this reminds me of is, I don't know if people know this, the story of, Clark Gable had a child with an actress in the like 1930s who was not married, and she was really Catholic. Loretta Young. So he and Loretta Young had an affair, and then she had a child, and she was Catholic, so she didn't get an abortion. And she had this daughter. So what she did is she just like went off the radar for a while. Then she came back and she's like, hey, I've just adopted this baby. A single woman, adopted this baby. And so then she like just was like, I'm a single woman who adopted a baby. That's just a thing that happens. But
like
Clark
Edith
Gable,
in Downton Abbey, like Tales of his time.
Yes. So Clark Gable had these really famous like sticking out ears that was like very, and the daughter had sticking out ears. So Loretta Young always put hats on the daughter. She always had to hide the daughter's ears because it was so apparent like this is the daughter of Clark Gable because so it's just, this is reminding me of that. They're just like, this is Horatia.
Humans are so funny.
That child we just found. Don't worry about it. Like,
we love her so much.
Emma was obviously pregnant and now is not pregnant, and there's a baby, but this is not that baby.
Don't worry about it.
But this is also at the time period where, so Prinny, George, Prince of Wales.
Yeah, speaking of women who adopt children that may or may not be their own.
So Prinny, he becomes obsessed with Emma at this time, and he like really wants to get together with her. And he is somebody sort of like Nelson. He really just like throws himself when he gets a crush. He just like throws everything at it. And Emma is so monogamous, and she's so all about Nelson. She's just like, this is never going to happen.
And also Prinny's gross. Like, no.
And Prinny is gross. He is a horrifying person who has books covered in human skin, which I talked about last week on the podcast, 2 weeks ago. Anyway, so Emma's just like, no thanks. But Nelson knows Prinny's reputation, and he also is like, well, Emma cheated on her husband with me, so she might cheat on me with this guy. So Nelson becomes like obsessed with like
very jealous.
So he's writing her letters, and all these letters are like, don't have dinner with him, don't let him in your house, like don't see him. And like he's really obsessed with it. And then but it's like it's the Prince of Wales, and you really want to stay on his good side. And like Emma and Sir William, they're like Whigs, and like that's the political party that Prinny is involved with. And so there's a situation where Emma is so upset that like Prinny has to come over to dinner, and she can't stop it, and she's like weeping. She gives herself a migraine. She's crying so hard. And so Sir William writes this letter to Nelson being like, dear Nelson, like, don't worry, Emma is being faithful to you, her lover.
My wife, your mistress.
Don't worry about it. We have to have the Prince of Wales over for dinner. Emma's so upset about it, but like, don't worry, it's fine.
That's
it's
so
this
funny.
Extraordinary situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
trying to catch up on my notes here.
So I mean, so this is happening. Like this is as calm as her life ever is, honestly. So at this point, Nelson buys a home called Merton Place near Wimbledon. When I say buys it, he buys it by borrowing money from his friend. He doesn't have a lot of money, because he's like from poor origins. Even though he's this war hero, he gets like prize money when he wins a battle or something, but that's not an income. So William is massively in debt because he just assumes the government will pay him back at some point. And Emma just like is a woman, and so is not allowed to have her own independent money. So just like, again, I'm just like laying some track for what's going to happen later on.
Yeah. But despite having no money, so he buys Merton Place and he basically gives Emma a blank checkbook and says, decorate, improve the property. And she takes that directive as, okay, I'm going to turn this house into a celebration of Nelson's genius.
She turns it into like Graceland Nelson version. It's just the whole place. Like it's just Nelson paraphernalia, like paintings of Nelson. Like I feel like Nelson face wallpaper, like everything is just like Nelson.
You're really putting all your eggs in one basket here. Like I get the vision, but I liked you better, Emma, when you were like doing your attitudes and doing like stuff that was a celebration of you. Like you were so good at this. I hate this for you. I'm so sorry. Although they did, because I said the mom pops up, she gets to move her mom in to Merton Place as well. So mom's still here. Grandmother is also still alive somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
So everyone is just, so they're living to, so Sir William is living there. Emma's living there. Yeah. Nelson, like when he's not off doing Navy things, he's living there. So it's just kind of like this.
Another little menage a trois situation.
I know, it's interesting because we did the Georgiana, like Bess, her husband thing. And now it's kind of like, this is like a happier one because Sir William is like cool with it.
There's less jealousy for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
And this also just fascinates the public too, that the public is like, what is going on here? Why are they living together? Like, but it's like Nelson is like the hero. Emma is like the sex symbol of the time. And
then there's Sir William.
Sir William also there. In his 70s at this point. And he's ill. He passes away in 1803. He dies in Emma's arms.
Yeah.
And this changes a lot of things. So he dies leaving a lot of debts because, again, he kept assuming the government would pay him back for services rendered, and they never did. And he did not, you couldn't leave an estate to a woman usually. So the estate goes to, do you remember? Throwing it back to episode 1, Greville.
Oh,
the nephew who was her lover before. So that is who's going to inherit everything, is that guy.
But Sir William does kind of provide for her with an annuity in his will. So like an allowance, it's supposed to be £800, which would roughly be £106,000 or $142,000 US today, which is nothing to sneeze at if she's able to get it, which again is another matter.
That's as we will see. Because people, who's the executive of the estate and things like that. And so what a woman in this situation would usually do is get married again pretty quickly because you need, like, for financial reasons, like you need like a protector. Like a woman can't, it's so hard to be an independent woman.
Like, and that's on paper, like you're supposed to get that money, but it kind of depends on what the people, like you said, running the estate actually decide to follow through on.
Yeah. So Emma, she gets immediately like so many marriage proposals because she is like the Marilyn Monroe of her time. Everyone's just like, oh my God, this like goddess is single. Like, I want it. But she's holding off to wait to see she wants to marry Nelson. Like she's a one-man gal. And now for a quick advertising break.
Starting or growing your own business can be intimidating and lonely at times. Your to-do list may feel endless with new tasks, and lists can easily begin to overrun your life. So finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything as a built-in business partner can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Gymshark, Rare Beauty, and Heinz, to brands just getting started. Shopify has hundreds of ready-to-use templates that can help you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand's style. And you can tackle all the important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. No need to save multiple websites or try to figure out what platform is hosting the tool that you need. And if people haven't heard about your brand, you can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you, with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns to reach customers wherever they're scrolling or strolling. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm. ebgliss.com/realm.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebgliss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebgliss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebgliss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebgliss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebgliss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebgliss. Before starting Ebgliss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebgliss and visit ebgliss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Now streaming. Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect. The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Now streaming, only on Disney Plus.
With Plan B emergency contraception, we're in control of our future. It's backup birth control you take after unprotected sex that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts. It works by temporarily delaying ovulation, and it won't impact your future fertility. Plan B is available in all 50 U.S. states at all major retailers near you, with no ID, prescription, or age requirement needed. Together, we've got this. Follow Plan B on Insta at Plan B One Step to learn more. Use as directed.
And we're back. So she's just like waiting. She's like, well, if Fanny dies, then Nelson and I can get married. So she's
Fanny's still around.
I mean, here's a spoiler. Fanny is the longest lived of anyone in this story.
Yeah.
Fanny,
so,
I think, it's Horatio.
It's right. But
so she's still in love with Nelson, and I think even if she thinks, like, even if Fanny doesn't die, like, she thinks like Nelson's going to get rich from like winning from prize money, from like winning more battles, and he will support her. She believes she is. Can we just pause and talk about her like optimistic outlook on life? She just believes the best of people in a way that's like sweet, but like not smart.
She chooses to believe everything will all work out. And I think that is partly because it's worked for her so far. Like, she's gotten this far because of her beauty and her natural gifts. But once she's back in London, it's so interesting. Like, society is the thing that makes that not always work. So she she's holding out for Nelson to become single, marry her. But in the meantime, she still has to support herself. She has she has 2 daughters. She has to make ends meet. She has built this house, decorated this house. Now that bill is coming due. So she does a couple things. She continues to display her attitudes, which I find interesting, even though at this point, most contemporary accounts say that she's past her prime, which I hate. One audience member wrote that she is bold and unguarded in her manner, is grown fat, and drinks freely.
So it's like, this was cute when she was 20, but now that she's 35,
and even Elizabeth Vigée Lebrun, she comes to visit her in 1802 and remarks that after her husband's death, I guess the next year, she did not seem convincingly moved by her husband's death and had grown horribly fat. The last time they had met was in Naples when Nelson was just beginning to pull Emma into his orbit.
It's like, when you see people nowadays who are like, what happened to this actor? It's like, she aged. It's like,
it's the progression of time.
I forget if it was Britney Spears' memoir or someone's memoir that I read where they're just like, I'm sorry, when did I promise to look the same as I did at 17 for the rest of my life?
Yeah. Or Renee Zellweger has talked about this too, I think. Because she is one where they started to do the reboots of Bridget Jones and everyone's like, oh, what happened? It's like, I'm older now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the fact that like Brooke Shields, that Emma became so famous and so well known for her beauty when she was a teenager.
And she's preserved in all these paintings, which famously, are frozen moment in time. That's what people are used to seeing.
So it's like you see, it's, you know what, when any actor goes away for a bit and then comes back, it's like, there's the new, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Jennifer Love Hewitt was on the carpet. Everyone's like, oh, what? It's like, yeah, she aged because she's a person and she doesn't look like she did in I Know What You Did Last Summer 25 years ago. Like, people are, when you don't see a celebrity for a long time and then you do, it's like, oh, it's kind of startling because you imagine that they don't change, but it's like, oh no, they're people.
They're people.
So
they're people
all these
too.
things are like, oh, Emma, she got fat. It's like, maybe she did, but like,
she had a stable home life for the first time in her existence too. Like, let's not forget.
Regularly, yeah. She's had 2 children. Like,
yeah. But she's also like trying to win over Nelson's family. So she his father comes to Merton House. What is it? Merton Place. She nurses him for 10 days and thought about moving in with Emma and Nelson. But she also connected herself to Nelson's sisters. She babysits their kids and gives them money, which you should not be doing, girl. Worry about yourself. But she's also I think trying to court and ingratiate herself there.
One of her things that she always did, as soon as she had access to money or credit, was she gave to the poor. She was always very philanthropic, and it was often going to the Magdalene sisters, or to women in trouble, or orphan children. She had a really philanthropic, but she just did not fundamentally understand how money worked. And there's lots of reasons for that. And part of it is because people just kept being sure, spend whatever you want. She didn't have to learn that. She didn't know that she would ever need to know that. So she just kind of thought she had limitless funds, and she spent as though she did on both herself and also on giving to the poor. It's like a toxic people pleaser personality. She's she's oh, I'll nurse this person back to health and I'll give this person all this money. And there's at one point where she always had household staff, and at some point she was hiring a new housekeeper or something, and she was told by Sir William, yeah, just pay whatever you think is fair. And then she paid above market value. She just wanted to be generous to everybody because she needed everybody to love her. And it kind of tips over from being oh, she's a kind, sweet person, to being oh, this is pathological, actually. This is
And this is why, ladies, if your husband tells you he wants to handle financials and you can just be a traditional woman in the home and you don't have to worry about anything, do not listen to him. You need to know these skills, because what if he dies? What if something happens? Yeah, that's not a spoiler. This is history.
You need to have your own bank account. You need to have credit. Ladies,
savings.
So this is Emma. It's such a cautionary tale. She's living this fabulous life, but she never knew that it was because Sir William was in massive debt constantly, and then he died leaving all this debt. And then it's well, that's nothing to do with me. I'll just keep spending the way that I did. She didn't.
And a part where you can kind of see that also is her daughter Emma, the first one. Sir William was taking care of her upkeep, and before that it was Greville. Now that Sir William is dead, this is when Emma finally has to tell Nelson about her first daughter. Luckily that goes well. She has nothing to worry about. He loves baby Emma, who is now, I guess, adult Emma 2.0. She comes to stay with them sometimes. And he did assume financial responsibility for her. So this poor girl got passed off to different men to be financially responsible for her.
And everything's going great. And then Nelson dies.
Yeah, he gets called off to the Napoleonic Wars in 1803.
So he died at Trafalgar. And if you go to London, there's Trafalgar Square. This is all named after Nelson, because it was a battle that ultimately the British won, but he died in it. And one of the reasons he died in it, I don't know if you know this detail, was because they were on, it's ship versus ship sort of battle. And there's, smoke from all the oldie time muskets and stuff. And they're sir, Nelson, could you take all the sparkling star medals off of your jacket? And he's no, I'm Nelson. I'm going to wear all my star medals. It's like Emma wearing her cross of Malta. He's
Maltese cross, yeah.
So then he gets shot because he's so visible. Because he's wearing all these sparkling, glittering things. This is
so. Was he a military genius? Was he?
Friends?
Was he?
So he ends up getting shot, and he in the spine, and he he dies, and like as he dies, he's like, "Tell Emma I love her" or something. But like, you know what he didn't do? Put her in his will. So
yeah. Well, also, sorry, before we get to that, because things unravel from there, they had a second baby also.
Oh, yes. So she was pregnant again.
When he left. When he left for the Napoleonic Wars, she was pregnant, though neither knew it at that time. And like, she's at home frantically redecorating, trying to make it into like something that he can come home to. And she gives birth to a second child with Nelson, also reportedly named Emma. There's like not really great records about this baby. She dies at like 6 weeks old.
Yeah, like I don't know if the baby was born earlier, but it's just like, you know, olden times, infant mortality, et cetera, et cetera. So this is like very devastating because obviously the death of a child. And also, so they had a child, like baby Emma died. Nelson comes back for like 25 days. And Emma is just like, I hope to get pregnant again to like help me get past this. And also it would be great to have a son because that would just sort of be good for inheritance and stuff. She does not get pregnant again. Nelson goes off to the Battle of Trafalgar and dies. And so in his will said something like, I trust that the government will provide for Emma Hamilton.
Yes.
It's like, not good enough, guy. The government, Prinny.
The British government. Yeah.
Yeah,
famously.
Like they don't have any money, first of all, because Prinny.
And he also, unfortunately, like there's that part of it. Like he's writing basically, the crown should give Emma, quote, ample provision to maintain her rank in life because of his achievements for the British Navy. Like they haven't been paying him so far. And he's just hoping that they're going to pay his mistress in like lieu of all of the stuff he thinks he's owed while he's still alive. But like, this is a note that isn't like legally witnessed. He intends it to be a codicil to his will, but it isn't, you know, it's his intention. Absolutely.
He was living like he was immortal. Like he didn't, he went off to battle constantly, but he never thought he was going to die. So he never really made plans for, and he just sort of like her, they're both sort of just like toxic optimists where they're just like, it'll work out. And it's like, dude, no, like this is not good. So Emma, so William's dead. She inherited not much from him, considering he had lots of debts as well that had to be paid off.
Yes. Yep.
Nelson dies and she gets an annuity.
Well, she's supposed to.
She's supposed to. But this isn't, but she also just like doesn't get it. She keeps like throwing parties, redecorating, like spending money. Like it's
I hate that we see this timing again from these women.
I know. It's like Madame du Barry type vibes where it's just like, this is not, but there's no one around to be like, or if there are people
or like
to tell her just like, girl, like
or Georgina who like her creditors like don't press that hard to be repaid so she can just still go to another creditor and rack up even more debt. Like, cause nobody really talks about it openly.
Well, that's the thing. No one talks about money. And Emma is living in an echelon. Like at this point, Georgina is dead, but like similar to her, it's just kind of like everyone is throwing parties. Everyone has credit. No one talks about it. But someone like Georgina, like even with the message that she had, like she had family connections. She had like, eventually someone was able to pay all that, but Emma doesn't have any of that. Like you could live as like an independent woman, like, cause she's not married. She doesn't have a lover at this point. If you had independent family wealth, but she has nothing. Like she is the daughter of a blacksmith. So she's living the way that her friends are living. So she assumes that it's all just gonna...
She's like, and she's banking on future promises of wealth that like no one has actually promised her. She's just assumed I'm gonna marry Nelson when his wife dies, which like doesn't happen. And he's gonna win all of this prize money in battle, which doesn't happen because he dies. So it's just, that's really sad. And I mean, to make it even worse, like she's not allowed to go to Nelson's funeral because they're not married. She's a mistress. And like, she had wanted to sing some song for the service.
He had wanted her to sing at the wedding because she had this beautiful singing voice. So,
and like, nobody cares.
Well, and it's such a downfall for her. Like she went from like the toast of the town to suddenly just like, oh yeah, because you weren't married to Nelson, like actually you get nothing. And she's got all these friends. And so one of the reasons she keeps spending money is to like host parties and go to parties to make these connections with people like Prinny and the princess who she thinks can influence to get her money. Like she throws all of her eggs in the basket of like, she thinks that Prinny is going to.
But they're all in debt too, like famously.
Exactly, yeah. So she just thinks that like by being friends with these people and keeping up with them, they will help support her, but they do not. And eventually, so she starts just like selling stuff to pay off some of her creditors, eventually to sell off a lot of her Nelson memorabilia. Eventually she ends up having to sell Merton the house, which like she doesn't get as much money for as she thought she would, because it's
the Nelson fad has kind of
so
passed.
Tacky. No one wants to buy like Graceland.
Graceland. Yeah.
It's kind of like the sale. What is it? I don't know. You know, all those shows where they're like, you make the house look nice so people will buy it. Like it doesn't have the curb appeal. Eventually, but she still keeps some stuff with her. I find this really fascinating. So she goes into, debtor's prison is a place where
literally debtor's prison. Well, also because she keeps, even though she's spending and she doesn't quite get it, she can't really live the same lavish lifestyle she's accustomed to. She also still gives out charity and handouts. And like, even at one point, Nelson's brother, who is the executor of his estate and refuses to give Emma her pension that she's entitled to by his will, he comes for a handout from her at one point. And like, she still helps the sisters take care of their children. It's like this family is taking such advantage of her.
Well, and she doesn't, and it's everybody up until she lands in debtor's prison, all of society assumes she's rich. Yes. And part of this is because everyone like her assumes like, well, she was Nelson's mistress. I'm sure she's being taken care of. It's like, by who? She's not. But she's also going to parties and wearing new jewels and stuff. So she's acting like she's rich. So people assume she's rich. People are coming to her for handouts and stuff. During the midst of this, so her first run in debtor's prison, she's not like in a cell. I didn't know about this. Do you know about this? Like, it's like a neighborhood. So there's like apartments called The Rules.
To, I guess, keep up the appearances again, like, because we don't talk about money.
So it's sort of like these houses near where debtor's prison is. And you can like live in one of these like apartments as long as you don't leave like a certain perimeter. So it's like you're in debtor's prison, but you're like living like you're in a house. And she moved into one of these apartments with her daughter, Horatia. And she's got this beautiful furniture and her silver cutlery and her china. It's like, bitch, what?
That's a great setup.
Sell these things. What do you do? You're debtor's So people like the princess, like Prinny's bride, come by to dinner parties. They're like, oh, I had a nice time at her house. It's like,
how about we focus on paying your debt so you can get out of debtor's prison? Which the whole concept of debtor's prison was always so funny to me. Like, you're in debt, so I'm going to keep you here in prison so you can't make money to pay off my debt. But when it comes to these genteel, like aristocratic prisoners, you're still clinging to that link to society, keeping up appearances. And it's like that is preferable to them to the alternative, which is like back on the street in London in December, selling your body for money. Like, yeah, I get it. I do get that a little bit.
Yeah, like her daughter Horatia went from like the toast of the town, living in Merton, having this amazing life, to suddenly living in this like dingy like slum neighborhood. Like, it was shocking. Like, this is how your mother grew up, but this is not the life that Horatia has ever lived before.
Yeah.
So at some point while she's living in debtor's prison apartment complex, so she's also a hoarder, which I think you can guess from my description of her belongings. She is a hoarder, and she is really disorganized. So she's like, she moved from Merton to like an apartment to somewhere else to debtor's prison, and she kind of loses track of stuff. And one of the things she loses track of is her letters from Nelson, which end up being published in the newspapers and kind of ruins both of their reputations, because these are the letters Nelson was sending where he was like, God damn it, are you fucking the Prince of Wales? I hate that guy. Like, it kind of...
Yeah. And like, she would write about Fanny, his wife, like, and how she like isn't very sly about it. She talks about how she hopes she'll die so that she can marry Nelson. Yeah. She wrote in one of the letters, I just loved this quote, I am ever your affectionate Emma. And then she adds, like, at the end, I would say Emma N, but I am afraid such happiness and honor is not in store for me. For she, meaning Fanny, will never burst. So it's like, God damn it, why isn't she dying? So yeah, the public now can see like this peek behind the curtain. The mystique is kind of ruined when these letters are published.
Beautiful. Well, not that it was ever beautiful, but people were shipping this, but now like to see.
You have that idea, of the like romantic, like capital R romantic pairing. Yeah.
And now they both just kind of look like trashy bitches. And so the thing is like this ruins the reputation more. So, and this makes Prinny be like, well, I'm never going to give you money now because you're like a disgraced person. But also it's like Emma could have made money if she had sold those letters, but somebody else made money by selling them on her behalf. So it's like she didn't have the business sense to think that those were valuable things that she could make money off of. So things are going badly for her. She has a couple of friends who, there's like this one money lender, and then there's a guy who's like the alderman of the neighborhood where the rules is, who just kind of feels bad for her. And he sort of helps her sell some stuff. Like he buys some things from her. His name is Joshua Smith. Shout out to Joshua Smith. And he eventually helps her flee, because it's just like, what are you going to do?
Iconic of her. This is very Vanity Fair. Like at the end where Reese Witherspoon like ends up in, I think it's Germany, working in a casino. Emma flees to France with Horatia. She has 50 pounds in her purse, but still takes very expensive apartments at Dyson's Hotel.
The creditors cannot lend to her. So she's just
she again hires a whole staff, a housekeeper, other servants, like throws parties, maintains a social life, and like eventually the debts catch up with her. So she has like maybe a year where she can fudge it in France, like Anna Delvey kind of lifestyle.
But she can't pull it off. She's not
malicious.
No, she just like doesn't get it. Well, at this point, I think it's sort of like a purposeful, not
like, let's
realistic.
Just pretend it's not an issue and maybe everything will be fine.
Yeah, just like this sort of wishful thinking. But also she ultimately, like she's got various health issues. So Sir William eventually died of what was probably dysentery that he probably picked up in Naples. And then Emma seems to have similar symptoms. So potentially she got a similar virus. And just her time in debtor's prison and stuff like exacerbated this. She gets like liver problems. Like so many people in this era, she's self-medicating with laudanum, which is a tincture of opium mixed with alcohol. And you mentioned before, like she's was drinking. A heavy drinker. So she has a slow and like Horatia is there witnessing this, but it's like she slowly dies over a couple of weeks.
Yeah. They move to like this cheap apartment. They're in France, but this is 10 years after Nelson has died. Like he dies in 1805. Emma dies in 1815. So that's 10 years just living in slow decline.
And that's like age like 39 to 49. She's 49 when she passes away. And it's just sort of like, and when she dies, the obituaries are all kind of making fun of her as being this great whore, this kind of like person who's like, she's not well remembered. She's buried in France. I think I have this. Or do you have this?
She converted to Catholicism. So she gets
towards the end,
in a churchyard in France. Her grave was destroyed in wartime destruction. Which war? I'm not sure. There would have been several. But there is today a memorial to her that was unveiled in 1994.
In France.
In the Parc Richelieu.
Sir William was buried in, like, with his first wife. And then Nelson was buried in this huge thing.
Oh, yeah. It's awful.
Yeah, that's huge.
You have to look up at it.
I know, for this like little tiny man, really big monument. Actually, I just remember I was looking back at my notes and I realized I didn't tie it all back. So just to end this with a fun anecdote, this tragic end of the story. So remember her friend Jane, who they were maids together.
Yes. Yep.
Jane Powell. So she became a famous actress. And so later, when everyone was still alive, Emma would go to the theater with Nelson and Fanny. So Fanny would sit on the left and Emma would sit on the right of Nelson. So she was like his side that didn't have the arm, so she could help feed him and stuff. And everybody in London loved watching them. It's like, oh my God, look at this famous love triangle. And so her friend Jane was performing in this play. And probably she and Jane had like schemed to do this together. So there's one line in the play where Jane's character says like something about like an injured woman, and she pointed directly at Fanny in the audience, and everyone was just like, "Oh fuck, what?" Fanny like faints, like she's so upset by this. She has to be like carried out. It was so. That's
I love that.
That's the iconic when they get back together.
I have one follow-up question, which actually my husband brought up yesterday. We were watching a movie and like there's a murder and the heroine faints. And he asked me, he's like, was fainting like a real thing or was everyone just pretending? Do you have any insight on that?
I think,
we might have to look into this.
I think well, obviously fainting is a real thing, but I do think that this could be a way to get a person out of an awkward situation.
Right. Because it always seems to be, you know, the well-bred, wispy white woman or whatever, like fainting.
I think it wouldn't be too hard to take the well-bred, wispy white woman in her corset who maybe hasn't been eating well all day to tip it from being like, oh my God, I'm so upset to just like, I'm just going to topple over.
I just can't.
Yeah. Remember Princess Lambelle? She had some sort of like health issue where she kept fainting and then people thought she was faking, but she actually like had an actual health concern. And
so like some people might have been faking if they thought she was.
Yeah. I think
it's a mix.
Honestly, like people do faint, obviously.
Yes.
But I do think back in the day, this was probably a way to get out of an awkward situation. That you could just be like,
yeah, that would make sense.
Like this happened to Fanny. that this actress pointed at her, calling her out in front of everybody.
Exactly.
And Fanny's just like, get me out of here. Like maybe
or like in
a panic attack, you know? And it just
Or I'm thinking of like in Gone with the Wind, another Vivian Leigh reference. She has Aunt Pitty Pat, who famously like every 5 minutes, my smelling salts. And it's sometimes she can recover if someone's like, stop being so silly. Here's actually what's going on. And she's like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So okay.
I don't know. I think it's also something that like it would be in so many novels that maybe people would want to behave like the characters who they hear about. And it just, I don't know, listeners from the health profession, are you a historian of fainting? I'm sure someone's listening.
Someone should be. That could be a fun book.
Someone always is. When I have a question on the podcast, there's always someone. And you know, in England, there's so many people who are experts on so many weird specific
one specific thing. Yeah.
I'm a historian of like exercise in the 1930s. Like, I'm sure you are, sir. Like, I'm sure I'm an expert in fainting. Actually, you know what? Everybody was on so much opium. I think fainting could be.
They were all just barely conscious all the time.
Yeah, everyone was like drinking so much and like the laudanum of it all and just like untreated bloodletting was so common. I think probably fainting was more common. That's my theory.
Okay.
So we need to give Emma Hamilton a score, and I'm very looking forward to this conversation because there's 4 categories. Yes. If you're new to this podcast, at the end of a biographical episode, we have 4 categories where we score the people, and then I see where that puts them in the pantheon on what we call the Fredegund Memorial Scandaliciousness Scale. The first category is scandaliciousness. How scandalous? I think she's a 10. How is she not a 10?
A 10.
Only because she didn't murder anyone, but she might as well have. She wanted to.
People assumed she did, actually. They made it up, but they thought she did. And that added to her novelty. Yeah, no, she was making waves like in Britain when she wasn't even there. She was living in Naples and still making headlines in London just because she and Nelson were in the same place at the same time. I think, 10 out of 10 scandaliciousness. And she owned it.
Like starting from the very beginning, like being the goddess of health and hymen, like then being like just posing for portrait paintings like she did, like not as like this is a portrait of so-and-so, but like here's my nude body. Like that was shocking. And there's no era of her life where she wasn't scandalizing somebody.
And like just talking about her life, you know, you're kind of on the edge of your seat waiting to see what she does next, like at every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, like she's in the scandaliciousness category. I just want to explain for people. Like this is like how scandalous did she seem to people at the time? And like
yes,
And how scandalous does she seem to us now? I think it's still a 10 out of 10. Like, this is like...
That's the whole reason she's famous, basically.
Yeah. Oh, the movie, the Vivian Leigh movie is called That Hamilton Woman. Like, she's just famous at the end of the Kate Williams biography, and like the final chapter, she's talking about when she was writing this book, in the early 2000s, which, 20 years ago, but people still think similarly now. She would just casually mention a conversation, and she's like at a party and someone's like, oh, she must have been a good fuck. Like, people, like, this is what people think of her. It's just like, oh yeah, she was a whore. Like, this
she's
is
understood within the context of her scandaliciousness.
Exactly. So I think so. And on this show, we reward that. We don't demonize that. The next category is scheminess. And this is like, I don't want to take away from her moves she made to like move up in the world and take advantage of opportunities, but she could have been more schemy.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. She was good at scheming on everybody else's behalf, like not for herself, as we just talked about, but think about her different eras, like schemed the Neapolitan royal family into exile and like helped the island of Malta break a famine. And like she tried to scheme in London for her future. If that had worked, like if she had bided her time and Nelson hadn't died in the war and Fanny, like it was more like circumstances worked against her. She was schemy enough that I'm willing to reward her. It's not a 10 for sure.
No, it's not. Like she had only she been more schemy, her life might have turned out better. But I think even just like being, like going from having the scheminess to know like, okay, like I'm a sex worker on the street. I have this opportunity for this health and hymen, being able to parlay
the opportunity,
going to Kelly's and then being able to be the one chosen. And maybe she was chosen because she was the prettiest, but then when she was doing that summer bachelor party, like to be able to turn that into Greville paying her, like she was able to, these are active things she did. Like she was put into a situation.
Yes.
Partially because she's pretty, but then she schemed to
turn it into something. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like she could have,
she was always moving up.
Her life could have just been like the show Harlots, which I think we referenced in the first part of this. Like she could have entered Mrs. Kelly's and that would have been her life, but it wasn't, because I think she was an active participant in the events of her life.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah. So it's like a
7.
It's tricky. I think a 7 is fair. Like I do think that I think she was as schemy as she could have been inherently with the life she lived and what.
Yeah, for the person she was.
I wish that she had someone with her who could have she was so good at learning languages and dances. Like if she had someone with her who could teach her how to do finances, that would have been
maybe if she had stayed in like Maria Carolina's orbit, things could have gone very differently from her. But once she went back to London, everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah. Well, and that's just like the Nelson of it all. It's like, oh, this great love story. I'm like, no, she was stigmatized.
It's not enough.
And this guy sucks. Her significance, I think this is interesting because she is like the most painted person.
Mm-hmm.
She is
at the time. And that's just the beginning.
Yeah. She's got so many iconic portraits. When you look at Emma Hamilton, like there's so many portraits of her. And then Kate Williams is looking at kind of like, so even before Romney, when she was like, not Mrs. Kelly's, when she was like, for that month she was on the street.
Yeah.
She did like some freelance modeling work as well, like before. So just as a way to make money. And so Kate Williams was
people were always kind of taking note.
Like her. This kind of looks like her. It's like, the famous painting by Henry Fuseli, The Nightmare, of like the woman lying backwards and there's like a little demon on her.
Yep.
Kate Williams theorizes like that might have been Emma because it kind of looks like her. Like there's so many, if you look at paintings that are not identified as her, you're like, but that looks like her. That looks like her. Like she's all over art history. Like it's Elizabeth Fugit-Lebrun did this famous painting of her as the Sibyl, and she's wearing like a turban. And this is the painting in the Elizabeth Fugit-Lebrun episode. We talked about this. Elizabeth Fugit-Lebrun traveled around Europe with this painting as like her business card to be like, look, I'm a good painter. See this? Like, because that was like what she considered her best ever work. Like, so I feel like her significance to art history is pretty major. Her significance, she's like a quasi-famous, people at least have heard of her.
There's a movie. And I mean, she did significantly influence politics during that brief revolution in Naples. I keep coming back to that.
Yeah, like she was the, Nelson was there doing stuff, Sir William was there, but like had she not been there, like that could have all played out differently. So it's like you don't know her impact because it all kind of worked out okay. But if she had not been there, it could have worked out worse. I don't know. Like her significance, I feel like a 6 or 7.
I was thinking 6 or 7 as well. I'm trying not to like let the fact that she kind of had those 10 years at the end of her life where she just was on the slow decline influence. Yeah. Because like even Horatia, her daughter, we didn't get to talk about her at the end, but like eventually she never publicly mentions her mother, but she does adopt the surname Nelson and name her first child Horatio Nelson. So like just because people at the end of Emma's life like wrote her off doesn't take away from her significance.
Yeah, the Horatia thing is interesting because I think cannily, she kind of knew like Nelson was like there's this big tomb, like that's the war hero and that's my father. But like Emma is just like, we just don't, like her memory was so ruined by the letters and then by like her dying a pauper and everything. So the fact that it's just too bad that, because Horatia was there with her, like Emma was a really hands-on mom as much as she could be. Like clearly they had a close connection. Horatia had to kind of cut her off and pretend like she didn't know that was her mother.
Well, and that's why you have a sexism bonus on this show. But for significance,
let's say 6.5.
Okay.
Well, because I also said like, oh, she's well known. I'm like, I had heard the name, but I didn't really know this story. And I kind of just knew Nelson, but I confused him with Wellington. I'm like, that's that war guy. Emma Hamilton, like maybe I've heard of her. So it's like, she's not, even to me, before I did all this research, she was not super well known. But she is to British people.
Within the context, yeah.
Okay, so the sexism bonus. I have 2 prongs of this. So the sexism bonus for listeners who may not know. This is where we give extra points because how much did sexism hold them back? How much more might they have been able to accomplish? A 10 out of 10 sexism historically has been somebody who like had an affair and then was locked in a tower and then died because that held them back a lot.
Yeah.
So for her, like so the 2 major things to me for her in terms of sexism bonus is the like sex work, sex trafficking, Epstein Island, teenage years.
Yeah.
And that was her only option. But then conversely, she turned that into opportunity. So
yes, but
then the other part of the sexism is how much she was demonized for her relationship with Nelson and how she wasn't able to inherit money, how she couldn't have a bank account. So like, I feel like as a young person, it affected her.
Yeah. Like even though she grew out of it and succeeded, like we've said, there was probably a lot of trauma there. And like, if she did have that secret first child, like before she even knew Greville or Nelson, like that's a whole other thing that we just don't even know how she was feeling. And then like at the end of her life, her like position really does depend on her proximity to men. And like, they're the ones not upholding promises and kind of putting her down. Like she's good as a society hostess and like a curiosity, but not much else. Like her options become very, very limited once the men she's connected to are out of the picture, which I hate.
Yeah, I hated that before she was in debtor's prison, like she was spending money, she was going to parties just so she could see and be seen, to meet people who could maybe she thought these people were her friends.
And she's still giving them charity and handouts.
Giving them money, but then they won't support her. It's like she thinks the best of people. So, like, I think she's.
Is it an 8 or a 9? I
think this is really high because just like her, like what happened to her in her. It's like it's tricky because there's been stories of people who like we've done this podcast who like are courtesans or sex workers, and it's like, well, that's a society, and they use this, but then they were able to thrive. Like Peg Plunkett she was like a brothel owner. She's like a sex worker turned brothel owner. And it's like sexism didn't really work against her because she was able to make a career of it.
She gamed the system.
Yeah, but I don't see Emma gaming the system so much. Like she was.
No, she's still iced out of the British court. Like she's never accepted fully.
Yeah. So also, I think it's a really high sexism bonus. I think And a lot of that, like part of that comes from the first part of her life. But a lot of it comes from the end years where it's just like she was completely fucked over by, you know, primogeniture and like only men could inherit. And the fact she had daughters, like everything, like that was her.
Like her husband, like Sir William got permission from the king to marry her, but then Queen Charlotte wouldn't let her into society. It's like, but the husband is in the Privy Council. Like you're fine with him being married to her, but not actually her.
It's just, it makes me like when I was reading the biography, I forget if I said in this episode or the previous one, where I was like, I bought it from the library and I was like, oh my God, like the ebook, and it was due. And I was like, well, I'm sure the story's going to wrap up soon. And just like the fact that she was struggling for 10 years, like, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I'm just like, how is this going to end?
Are you looking up comparison points on past sexism bonuses?
No, I'm just adding up what this total would be. So it's a 32.5, which anything above 30 on the show is like quite significant. 32.5. I'm just entering her here to see where this puts her. In terms of this series, actually in terms of this era, Mary Wollstonecraft has a 32. And I think...
Oh.
And the two of them never overlapped as far as I know, but I think they were similarly, their letters were published and it ruined their reputation. They have that in common.
There you go.
They both went to France during the Revolution for idiotic reasons. Marie Antoinette has a 32. This is...
I can live with this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of it's kind of like women who their reputations were so ruined. Like you got a lot of points here. I'm just seeing who else is... Charlotte Corday has a 33.5.
Okay.
So there's people from her. This all makes sense to me. I think
I just wish more people knew about her and like knew more than what you see in the Vivien Leigh movie.
Yeah. Well, and also the fact that it sort of reminds me a bit of like the wives of Henry VIII, who are so often like Catherine of Aragon, who's just like, well, she was married to Henry VIII. It's like, well, she did so much other stuff. So the fact that Emma Hamilton, it's like, well, she's remembered for Lord Nelson. It's like the whole first part of this book, Nelson
was not there.
Like, that's not all she did. Anyway, Amanda, thank you so much. This was like, I couldn't have done this without you. Did you know anything about Emma Hamilton before? Or
very little. I think I knew the name like you. I knew the connection to Nelson. I didn't even really know the art historical. Like there's so much there's so many pictures you can just see her face, and it's nice to now have the background to that.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about. She was the first like famous model. Like other people like Hortense Mancini had a lot of portraits done of her, but she's famous for being herself. Like Emma Hamilton became famous because of her modeling.
Right.
And I don't know if that ever happened before.
Yeah, it was definitely happening to a couple different people at this time. I'm thinking of Elizabeth Patterson, who married Napoleon's brother, and like same kind of thing, became famous. Yeah, because she was connected to royalty, but also because she was like an artist muse in Baltimore where she lived. So it's happening to a couple different women at this time, but maybe we found the first Emma.
Yeah, this is certainly, I don't know. The fact that she's like the most painted woman. Well, it's because Romney was obsessed with her and painted like 100 portraits of her every month.
But it's like not because of who she's connected to. Like, yes, she's introduced to him because of her connection to Greville, but really from there, it's like all Emma. Like
she's just
her.
So good at modeling in a way that nobody else was. Anyway, Amanda, how can people keep up with you? If they want to know what you're doing, you have 2 podcasts.
Yes. So I do the weekly podcast, well, twice weekly, if you want royal news and specifically to like pick apart royal media. That is Off With Their Headlines, which I co-host with Meredith Constant. And I'm also on the new show Rain Check. That's a pun, REIGN, with Newsner. That is out weekly as well. And then you can follow me on social media at Matta of Fact, MATTA_of_fact. And over on Substack, I have a twice weekly newsletter as well called The Fascinator.
And you have a book you've written. Do you know when it's going to come out?
Tentatively April of next year. So the thing with my book is it's written, the editor is done with it, but we're getting original illustrations for it. So it's currently in the design phase. So I'm so excited. It'll be just like this beautiful, like art object, as well as being a book all about the royal world. Like I'm basically selling it as it's a field guide to royalty. So I'm very excited. But yeah, April 2027. So hopefully I'll have more information on that later this year and like pre-order links and stuff. But that is, yeah, I'll be an author this time next year, probably.
Fantastic. And I am an author as well.
You are an author.
Rebel of the Regency, the scandalous saga of Caroline of Brunswick, Britain's queen without a crown, a woman who at one point wore a fake Maltese cross necklace because that's what Emma Hamilton was doing, and she wanted to, and she was she was a trend chaser.
She just loved a trend. Mm-hmm.
She loved a trend. She loved a moment. It's a funny
She just liked to be included is one thing I learned about Caroline.
Yeah. She kind of like Emma Hamilton. She just like, she loved to be at a party. She loved to be around people. Her energy was really fun. And it was fun to write this biography of her, this like very little known person from British history who, like Emma Hamilton, intersects with like everybody. Jane Austen is in the book. Mary Shelley is in the book, like all these people. Anyway, my book is called Rebel of the Regency, and you can pick it up wherever you get books in North America and in Europe and in Australia and New Zealand and lots of places. There's a drinking game in my book.
There is in the footnotes.
I do caution if you're going to do the drinking game, do it on a day when you're home.
Read slow.
If you're, exactly. If you're going to like actually
break it up. Yeah.
But anyway, so people can get that, and you can follow me online. I'm on all the places at Vulgar History Pod. And Amanda, thank you so much. It's such a story with like highs and lows. I hate ending a story. It's like, and then everything got depressing, and then more depressing, and then tragically died over the course of several weeks.
But that's why I like you doing the rankings at the end, because you get to revisit happier times as you're considering. Yeah. So always a pleasure.
It's always. Thank you so much. And to all my listeners, keep your pants on and your tits out. Vulgar History is researched, scripted, and hosted by Anne Foster. Editor is Christina Lumagi. Theme music is by the Severn Duo. Regency-era artwork by Karen Moynihan. Social media videos by Magdalena Denson. Transcripts of this podcast are available at vulgarhistory.com by Aveline Malik. You can get early, ad-free episodes of Vulgar History by becoming a paid member of our Patreon at patreon.com/AnneFosterWriter. Vulgar History merchandise is available at vulgarhistory.com/store for Americans, and at vulgarhistory.redbubble.com for everyone else. Follow us on social media at Vulgar History Pod. Get in touch with me at vulgarhistorypod@gmail.com.
The war is over, and both sides lost. Kingdoms were reduced to cinders, and armies scattered like bones in the dust. Now the survivors claw to what's left of a broken world, praying the darkness chooses someone else tonight. But in the Shadow Dark, the darkness always wins. This is old school adventuring at its most cruel. Your torch ticks down in real time, and when that flame dies, something else rises to finish the job. This is a brutal rules-light nightmare with a story that emerges organically based on the decisions that the characters make. This is what it felt like to play RPGs in the 80s, and man, it is so good to be back. Join the Glass Cannon podcast as we plunge into the Shadow Dark every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/theglasscannon, with the podcast version dropping the next day. See what everybody's talking about and join us in the dark.
There are vampires out there. They walk among you, shoulder to shoulder in the dark. Heading to work, heading home, going to the bar. It's a life just like anyone else's, and I have grown used to it. To the darkness, to the moon, to the taste of blood on my tongue. But vampires are dying out. We are a fading kind, and I am the first one created in so long, and that is a dangerous thing to be. Those who came before me, elders of all stripes, they do not want to see our kind gone, and they will do anything to keep their power. And for myself, and for Grace who created me, that is a sword that hangs above our heads. And the worst person of all carries our secret, and he will use it however he sees fit. Who do you look to when things are at their darkest? From the creators of Parkdale Haunt comes Woodbine, a podcast about monsters, dreams, and changes, those you want and those you never saw coming. Season 2 arrives September 24th, distributed by Realm.
Welcome and enter if you dare. Hi, I'm Hallie Keeper.
And I'm Allison Leiby. And together, we're the hosts of Ruined, a scary movie podcast where Hallie tells me the grisly details of a haunting new horror film each week.
Whether you're a terror hound like me or a scaredy cat like Allison, we've got so many thrills, chills, and obviously kills to share with you in every episode.
It's the podcast that'll have you saying, that was so funny. I should not have listened to it at night with all the lights off.
From the greats like The Exorcist and Poltergeist to modern classics such as Hereditary and Get Out to the freakiest new releases like A Quiet Place and Terrifier, we ruin them all and we'll leave you howling, mostly from laughter, sometimes because you're turning into a werewolf.
Ooh. Listen along as I try and guess the movie's twist, predict who will survive, and answer the hardest question of all. What would you do?
So please listen to new episodes of Ruined every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And whatever you do, we're begging you, please
keep it spooky.